All right. All right, class. This is Mr. Bean here, Lab 5, Part 1, Star Charts. And I'm here with A5 class. Okay. A5 Group 2. Yeah, A5 Group 2. All right, we're looking at star charts here. And so right now, since what season are we in right now? Fall. So let's move to the fall season. So go ahead and let's find fall. We're autumn sky. And I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. Okay, I'm going to take this off a little bit here. So here's the autumn sky. And we want to look at some things here. And take a look at it here. Okay, so up here are magnitudes. Okay, so bigger the dot means the brighter the star is, right? And most humans can only see up to what, +6? +6. Most humans can see +6 here. So here's the autumn sky, and we're looking north. Okay, look at the northern region here. And what I want you to do is go ahead and trace out the Big Dipper, try to find Polaris, and if you can, try to find Arcturus. All right. Now I do have colored pencils on this table over here if you want colored pencils. Okay, looking at this here, you have Big Dipper, right? Now there's Little Dipper and Big Dipper. Make sure you get the big one for Big Dipper. And use the 2 pointer stars. Here's Merak and Dubhe. It goes straight to Polaris, which is right here. And then if you try to find Arcturus, there's the arc. We arc on Arcturus, and do we see Arcturus? No, we cannot. In fact, as of today, when the sun sets, Arcturus is going to be over here. So by next week, when the sun sets, we will no longer be able to see Arcturus until next year, until next spring. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and everybody got this here? Okay, so when you do the test next class, the labels will be gone. You have to be able to recognize the patterns. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and scroll down here until we see some lines here. And see this dashed line right here? Okay. That's called the ecliptic. And the ecliptic is the path the sun takes. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of make a big yellow part right here. I'm going to call it the sun. Right here, there's the sun. Okay. And the sun is going to take this path right here. It's going to move right to left. Okay. The sun's going here. That's called the ecliptic. And that's the path the sun takes. Okay. And this here, this is the Earth's equator extended in outer space. The Earth's equator extended in outer space. So let me go ahead and kind of label that real quick here. And so right here, we'll make a little note to ourselves. We'll say Earth's equator. Okay. Earth's equator extended. Or it's called the celestial equator. So imagine the Earth's equator extended in outer space. Okay, that's called the Earth's equator. Now, do they kind of crisscross? Okay. Now, because normally the Earth is 23.5 degree tilt. Okay. So if sun, let's say you're the sun. You're the sun. Your eyes are the sun. All right. You see the equator here? Okay, so now, there's North America. Okay, now, in the fall, in the summertime, we're tilted 23.5 degrees towards the equator down here. Doesn't actually high. Now, in the fall equinox, which was just last week, straight up and down, that doesn't match, right? Okay. Then in the winter solstice, I'm tilted away 20 to 25 degrees. Different line. Then the spring equinox, so what happens is that, so here's the equator, here are the eyes of the sun. Okay, the equinox, see the eyes actually just like. Now, in the summertime, it tilts like this, and in the wintertime, it tilts like that. But during the equinox, that matches your eyes. Okay. All right, so see that line? See where they crisscross right there? What day is it? Or what day do you think that is? Was that? It just happened 2 days ago. Good. Yes, it's the fall equinox. Excellent. So we will make a note to ourselves that right here, this would be what we call the fall or the autumn equinox. The autumn, okay. Autumn equinox. Right here. Autumn equinox. Okay. Equinox. Okay. So that would be the autumn equinox. Okay. All right. Now, where would the sun actually be? It should be on this side, or should the sun be over here? That was 2 days ago, right? So if I want to make it look accurate, the sun is actually like right here. There's the sun. And it's going that direction because 2 days ago was the equinox. Okay, that's where the sun really is, right here. Okay. Now, along the ecliptic here, do we see some zodiacs? Okay. Here's Aquarius. Here's Sagittarius. Here's Capricornus. You see Pisces? Here's Pisces. Here's Aries. You see any others? Here's Gemini. Okay, so the zodiacs are found along the ecliptic. Well, there's a pencil sharpener there too. It's right there, the yellow one on the table. Oh, we got the red one. Yeah. Okay, so the zodiacs are found along the ecliptic. Now look at the constellation, look at the zodiacs. Are they all the same size? Okay, they're not the same size. Plus, Ophiuchus was kicked out, right? And remember the sun's precession or wobble? Okay. So there are 3 reasons why your astrological sign and astronomy sign don't match up. I'm Capricorn, but according to astronomy, I'm actually Sagittarius. It's because what's your astrological sign? Is it Aries? Okay. If you look on the astronomy thing, you do the activity, you'll find out they don't match up. You're off like 2 or 3 weeks. That's part of the reason why. But however, I feel like I'm a Capricorn because when I read my astrology, the personality of a Capricorn is pretty close. My wife actually has the same birthday as me, January 3rd. So we're both Capricorns. It's pretty tricky. All right. So we should be able to do this. Okay. We're kind of working on this. Okay. So now the next season after autumn would be what? Winter, right? Winter. Okay. All right. Winter time. Okay. So we'll go ahead and scroll down here. Here's the winter skies. Okay. And go ahead and see if you can identify the Big Dipper, Polaris, or Arcturus. So we outline Polaris there, and excuse me, the Big Dipper, and we found the 2 pointer stars, and there's Polaris. Now, if you want to, if you put, let's say you put your pencil tip right on Polaris, and you rotated you rotate your paper, that's what's really happening. Polaris doesn't move, but the stars around it move. So that's why we have this different seasons. Do we see Arcturus? No. So if you had like a blank one here, and I told you what season could it be, you know that it could be either spring, or excuse me, autumn or winter. Those two seasons, you don't see Arcturus at all. It's gone. All right. Now, this one here, we're going to spend some time on. Okay, let's go ahead and go down here again. Okay. Okay, so let's draw where the sun is. Okay, so let's kind of go over here and draw the sun real quick here. And here's drawing here. Let's go ahead and use this yellow. Okay, right here. Okay, and this is here. Okay, all right here. And now this was the equinox right here. Right, this was the fall equinox right here. So the sun is about right here now. Right, so here's the sun. Okay, let's redraw the sun, and it's taking this path. Whoa, am I wrong? I drew the sun in the wrong place. You guys got to help me out. Oh, okay. So we're over here. Let's go back to yellow again. Okay. So the sun is, let's see, put the sun about right here. Okay. So here's the sun. Okay. We'll go ahead and label it sun here. Sun, okay. And it's moving in this direction here. Okay. So this was the equinox here. So this was, we'll call it the fall equinox. It was right here. Okay. The fall equinox. Okay. That was right here. Okay. There's the sun. Okay. And do we see any constellations here? Or excuse me, zodiacs? Aries, Pisces. Okay. Here's Taurus. Okay. Gemini. Here's Cancer. And maybe over here is Leo. Okay. You see Leo there? Okay. All right. So those are the zodiacs there. Okay. Those are zodiacs. Okay. Now, let you get caught up here, and let me go ahead and I'm going to make the screen bigger here, because I want us to look at something important here. Okay. In fact, I'll make it a little bit bigger still. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. So, okay. Let me go ahead and go over here real quick, and let me do the Orion constellation. Orion constellation. Okay. So here's the Orion constellation. The images. Okay, take a look at this. Okay, so this is the Orion constellation, Orion the hunter. Here's his bow. Okay, he has some arrows here. Here's Orion's belt, right? Orion's belt. This is Betelgeuse. This is Rigel. Okay? So this is the Orion constellation. In January, we're going to have a whole unit just on the Orion constellation. Okay? So we go back over here to our star chart here. Okay, can we make out Orion here? Let me go ahead and use a different color. Let me use pink here. Okay. And here's the arrow, right? Okay. And is this his belt right here? Here's Orion's belt. Here's his arrows here. So this. Here, this. I'm going to trace it out a little bit. Okay. There's Orion. Okay, there's Orion right here. And I'm going to do little colors here. Okay, Betelgeuse right here is a giant red star. We'll make it red. Okay, it's a supergiant. Some believe it's ready to go supernova. It's about 400 light years away. So when we look at it and we see it today, light traveled 400 years to reach us. If it exploded today, we would not know for about 400 years. Now, it may have already exploded 400 years ago, and we might see it next week. Okay? But it takes 400 years for messages, for light to travel that far. Is that long ways away? Okay, that's how long? Okay, all right, long ways away, absolutely. Rigel, which is down over here, is a super blue giant. So let me go ahead and change this to blue here. Let me change this to blue here. And this is a blue giant right here. There's Rigel. Okay, so those are the two main ones for right now. Betelgeuse is super red giant. Rigel is a blue giant over here. All right, now, okay, this is, you cannot miss this. Okay, we will see this in December, January, February, about 8 o'clock at night. It's going to be right out here. You cannot miss this. Now, once you look at Orion's belt, okay, now if you look at the pyramids of Giza Strip here, they kind of match up with the pyramids, believe it or not. Okay? There's a close comparison. Once you find Orion's belt, okay, if you follow it straight down like this here, you get what's called Sirius. This is the brightest star in the night sky. We'll call it Sirius. Anybody here have Sirius FM? Or know somebody has Sirius FM? Ever heard of Sirius? Satellite radio station? Okay. Well, if you buy a new car, they give you 1 month free of Sirius FM. Okay. So there's Sirius. So you find Sirius by finding Orion's belt, tracing it straight down, and you run to Sirius right here, brightest star in the night sky. And then finally, you have the Orion Nebula, which is about right here. You find the middle belt, you go straight down, or the sword of here's Orion's belt. You go straight down, you see a little fuzzy patch. That's the Orion Nebula. The Orion Nebula, which is right here. All right, so these are some features that we want to be familiar with. Any questions right here? Everyone's kind of any questions on this part here? Or you okay with it? Okay, man? You good? Yeah. This side, okay. All right. So now, after so now take a look here, right? This is the fall equinox right here. Okay, see how these begin to start splitting apart? Where is the greatest separation, did you say? All right, I'm going to move this. Tell me when to stop and you think the greatest separation is. About right here? Okay. Is this the greatest separation from here? Is that about the greatest? Okay, so this was the fall equinox. This is going to be the winter solstice. Winter solstice. So go ahead and write down here, winter solstice. So we want winter solstice. December 21st. That's going to be the winter solstice. All right. So, okay, so now after winter, we now go to spring. So go ahead and pull up spring here, and let's see what we got going on. Okay, here's the spring skies. Okay, let me make this a little bit smaller here. Let's get rid of this here. Make this a little bit smaller. Okay, so spring. Okay, last year this was lab 4. This year is lab 5. Okay, right, spring skies. Make it a little bit bigger here and see if you can find Polaris and trace out the Big Dipper, and also maybe find Arcturus. Okay. All right. So once you identify the Big Dipper, you can find Polaris. And also, if you arc, you can now arc onto Arcturus. And Arcturus is a bright orange star. Now, have you ever here get a chance to look at Arcturus on side view or look at it. It's a bright orange star. So here's the arc onto Arcturus, which is right there. So you can't miss it. It's part of a constellation called Bootes. Not to be confused with Booty. All right. So now, if we scroll down, right? Okay. I would recommend let's try to find the sun's path. Okay, where's the sun going? So the sun's moving along here. Maybe let's put the sun like right here. Okay, here's the sun. We'll go ahead and kind of move it like this here. Move in that direction. This is the sun. Okay. Now in the fall, we have the autumn equinox. Okay. What do you think this day is right here? It's not the fall equinox, but it's the, yes, the vernal equinox or spring equinox. We will say vernal. Okay. Here's vernal. Or we could say the spring equinox. So there's the vernal or the spring equinox right here. And that's going to be about March 22nd, March 21st, March 22nd. This will be the vernal equinox. Okay? That's where sidereal time and solar time will be 12 hours apart. There's another 4 minutes every day. So over a 6-month period, it adds up to being 12-hour difference. 12-hour difference. All right. Do we see any constellation or those zodiacs? Leo. There's Leo. You see Libra. There's Cancer. Virgo. Virgo. Anything out here? Taurus. There's Taurus. Gemini. Now, can we still make out Sirius in Orion's belt? Right here. There's Orion. Here's Orion. Here's Orion's belt. We trace it like this to here, and we get Sirius. Okay. All right. Okay, so that's the spring. Now let's go to summer. You try to do summertime and kind of see if you can find Arcturus, Polaris, the zodiacs, and where the sun is. Polaris. Arcturus. So, to find the Big Dipper, should be able to find Polaris, and you can also see Arcturus too as well. So Layla, if you see Arcturus, what seasons could you possibly be in? Yeah, spring and summer. You don't see it. Yeah. So if you were like knocked unconscious and you were in a coma and you woke up and there was a zombie apocalypse and went outside and you saw Arcturus, you would know what season it is. Okay. I don't know if that would help you out or not. Cool. All right. So go ahead and kind of scroll down a little bit here. Okay. And over here. Okay, now do the sun's path here. Take a look at the sun here. Let's go ahead and use yellow. Now this here, this was the vernal equinox right here. Right? This was the vernal equinox. The vernal equinox was right here. Okay? So we'll put the sun's path like right here. Here's the sun. And we'll call this the sun. And it's moving in this direction here. And let's see, what kind of constellation zodiacs do we see? Libra, Scorpius, there's Sagittarius, Capricornus, there's Aquarius. Do you see any others? There's Leo. And Scorpius is a big scorpion, and it has a giant red star, supergiant called Antares. And we're going to use red here for Antares. It's right here. It's called Antares, Scorpius. I'm going to put a red here, okay? And make that, it's a red giant star, Antares. Maybe it looks kind of orangish. Maybe it's orangish red, so maybe add a little orange to it too. A little orange in there. So it's an orange-red star. That's called Antares. I like to think of it as the heart of the scorpion. And this is called Corona Australis, right here. Kind of looks like Australia. All right, so you want to keep this hole punchers here. You will need to use this next class with a partner. There'll be no names on it. There'll be some things you'll need to do as a group, as a partner. All right, any questions? I'm going to stop sharing this video part. So this will conclude Lab 5, Part 1.